change the subject.
All right, thanks, Brian. Well, a shocking email chain from professors at Brandeis University reveals deep anti-Israel and anti-Semitic, even anti-Fox News sentiments. The emails suggest Israel has committed, quote, war crimes and holocaustic ethnic cleansing, end quote, and refer to Fox News as a poisonous network. Are these messages an isolated incident at the university or an indication of much bigger problems inside our overall education system? Joshua Nass is a Brandeis graduate, as well as the founder and chairman of Voices of Conservative Youth. Nice to see you this morning, Joshua.
Pleasure. Thank you.
How did you get access to these emails, and when did you first learn about it? What was your initial response?
There were a number of academics who were a part of this listserv that were troubled by the direction it was headed toward. They handed off and passed it on to a number of students who then forwarded it to me to disseminate. It's incredibly important that these emails got out. It's incredibly important that people see what's going on in the minds of some of the academics teaching our children in the classroom.
Let's give some specific examples now. These are just a few of the posts, and this was an anti-Israel post, and we'll play a couple of them here back to back. Quote, an atmosphere of hysteria is being deliberately provoked in Israel, and whole communities are being subject to collective punishment, a war crime. As he says there, professor of sociology. Here's another one. Plant a tree, bury a Palestinian. Zionist olive trees grow wondrously on Palestinian corpses. In that way, we combine great trees with our own holocaustic ethnic cleansing. What did you make of those?
This stuff is outrageous. It's deeply offensive. Look, I've been to Israel well over a dozen times. I have family living in Israel. I had family members that just served in the Israeli Defense Forces over the course of the last conflict. Any suggestion that Israel is responsible for provoking this last conflict is outrageous. And it's just factually inaccurate. It was provoked because a group of terrorists, namely Hamas, went ahead and abducted and killed in cold blood 3 innocent Israeli civilians. Look, this type of sentiment is outrageous, and it ought to be condemned and denounced, but Brandeis here, it's not exclusive to Brandeis, the problem is.
So it is a larger issue, you think?
Absolutely, and it's emblematic of the larger culture on university campuses across America. Brandeis is just an example here.
Now, they say it's an isolated incident. Brandeis University, from their president, says we maintain staunch support of freedom of expression and academic inquiry. Some remarks by an extremely small cohort of Brandeis faculty members are abhorrent. So they're just saying it's isolated.
Look, during my time at Brandeis, I didn't have the privilege of being a student of any of these wonderful academics. But I will tell you that this is a troubling direction. And the idea that we have folks with these types of deranged minds teaching students in our classrooms is something that ought to be troubling to us all.
And also troubling to Fox News to hear about one of the posts on that listserv also, that, quote, Fox is often poisoning the atmosphere in public places. This is just one of the many new campaigns to weaken the power of Fox. Others involve you're writing online to companies who advertise on Fox, asking for people to write, and this person, Mary Bain there, I forgot her last name, but what do you make of that?
I believe the last name is Campbell, if I'm not mistaken. Look, she said a lot of outrageous things that were uncovered in these emails. She also referred to Ayaan Hirsi Ali, the women's rights activist, as someone who claims to have had a difficult childhood. Meanwhile, this is a woman, of course, who sacrifices her life on a daily basis to go ahead and expose the plight of oppressed Muslim women in certain societies. Again, reprehensible, and it ought to be condemned.
Well said. Joshua Nass, we appreciate you joining us this morning.
Thanks so much for having me on, Clayton.